Welcome to the debate from GiltEdge.uk. Before we begin, this content is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Always do your own research and consider seeking independent financial advice before making any investment decisions. Your capital is at risk. Today, the Challenger and the Guardian go head-to-head on first-time buyers. The lifetime I.S.A. gives you £1,000 a year free. Your pension won't buy you a house. Let's get into it.
Let me start with a simple number, £32,000. That's the free government money a couple both maxing out their lifetime I.S.A.s from age 22 to 40 walk away with. No employer match required, no paperwork, no waiting until you're 57 to touch it.
And let me start with a simple truth: buying a house is not a financial plan. If you sacrifice pension contributions in your 20s to fill a lifetime I.S.A., you will pay for that decision every single year of your retirement.
But that assumes people have unlimited money to put everywhere. A first-time buyer on £30,000 a year has to choose. And the lifetime I.S.A. gives you a guaranteed 25% return. Show me another product in UK finance that does that.
I'll show you one right now: your employer's pension match. Most decent employers match at least 5%. That's 100% return on your contribution before the money even hits the fund.
Sure, if you have a generous employer. But plenty of people are on auto-enrollment minimums, 3% employer, 5% employee. That's not the golden ticket you're making it out to be.
Even at minimums, that 3% employer contribution is money you literally leave on the table if you redirect savings to a lifetime I.S.A. instead. And you get tax relief on top. A basic rate taxpayer puts in £80, the government tops it up to £100. A higher rate taxpayer? £60 becomes £100.
Right, but most first-time buyers aren't higher rate taxpayers. They're in their 20s earning £25,000 to £35,000. At basic rate, your pension tax relief is 20%, my lifetime I.S.A. bonus is 25%. The lifetime I.S.A. literally wins on the government top-up.
That's a narrow comparison though. You're ignoring that pension contributions also reduce your taxable income. National insurance savings, student loan threshold effects, the real effective relief is higher than 20% for many people.
Fair point on salary sacrifice, but let's talk about something the pension crowd never wants to discuss: access. You can't touch your pension until 57. The lifetime I.S.A. lets you buy a home, the single biggest financial decision most people make in their lives.
And that's exactly the trap. The lifetime I.S.A. is capped at properties under £450,000. In London, the average first-time buyer price is already above that. Even outside London, prices are rising fast. That cap hasn't moved since 2017.
The 2028 reforms are expected to raise that cap. And right now, the average first-time buyer price across the UK is around £230,000, well under the limit. This isn't a London-only conversation.
Expected to raise it, but we don't know by how much. And even if they do, you're still building your entire strategy around a single asset purchase rather than long-term wealth building.
A single asset purchase that gives you somewhere to live and stops you paying someone else's mortgage through rent. Every month you rent instead of own, that's money gone forever. The lifetime I.S.A. gets you on the ladder faster.
I'm not anti-home ownership. But let's run the actual numbers on compound interest. A 22-year-old who puts £150 a month into a pension instead of a lifetime I.S.A., with employer match and tax relief, could have over £50,000 more at retirement than the lifetime I.S.A. saver. Time in the market matters enormously.
And a 22-year-old who uses the lifetime I.S.A. to buy at 27 instead of renting until 32 saves 5 years of rent, that's £40,000 to £60,000 depending on where they live. That money can go straight into the pension once they own.
That assumes property prices keep rising, mortgage rates stay reasonable, and they actually redirect savings into a pension after buying. In practice, people buy a house and then spend the next decade renovating it.
That's a behavioral argument, not a financial one. We're comparing the products, not people's willpower. And here's another thing: if something goes wrong with your lifetime I.S.A., you lose 25% penalty on withdrawal. Sounds bad, right? But that just puts you back roughly where you started. With a pension, your money is literally locked away until your late 50s.
Back where you started minus the 25% penalty, which actually takes you below your original contribution. You put in £4,000, it becomes £5,000 with the bonus, then the penalty takes £1,250. You get back £3,750, less than you put in. That's not breaking even, that's a loss.
Okay, that's a fair correction on the penalty maths. But the scenario where you withdraw early from a lifetime I.S.A. is the failure case. The success case, buying a house, is far more likely for someone who's deliberately saving for one.
Let me concede something, for someone who is definitely buying under the cap within 5 years, the lifetime I.S.A. bonus is genuinely excellent. My argument is about people who treat it as their primary savings vehicle at the expense of pension contributions.
And I'll concede that if your employer matches 5% or more, you should absolutely take that first. But after the match, the lifetime I.S.A. should be next in line, not more voluntary pension contributions. Get on the ladder, then go heavy on the pension.
The problem is that to then go heavy on the pension rarely happens. And every year you delay pension contributions in your 20s costs you disproportionately. £1 invested at 22 is worth roughly 4 times £1 invested at 42 by retirement.
But £1 spent on rent at 22 is worth exactly 0 at any age. That's the asymmetry people like you never account for. Housing costs don't just vanish, they compound against you too.
We could go back and forth on this forever. Let me put it simply, pension first up to the employer match, then lifetime I.S.A. if you're buying under the cap within 5 years, then more pension. That's the optimal order.
I'd reverse the last two. Lifetime I.S.A. until you've bought, then pension hard. But honestly, we agree on more than we disagree. The real enemy is doing neither.
On that we completely agree. The worst outcome is someone paralyzed by this debate who saves into neither.
My final point, the lifetime I.S.A. is the only product in the UK that gives young people a guaranteed 25% bonus they can actually use in their 20s and 30s. Don't let pension orthodoxy talk you out of it.
And mine, your pension is the most powerful wealth-building tool you'll ever have, and the cost of neglecting it in your 20s is a retirement you can never buy back.
The Challenger, The Guardian, thank you both. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Read both articles in full at gilt-edge.uk. Thanks for listening to the debate.